Core 19 be like,
Hello, boys! I'm
hello and welcome back, everybody, to Commanding Magic, the Lost Episodes 2. Travis and Brandon here today, getting ready to go over some Core 19. Brandon, Core 19.
Core 19.
The return of the core set.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, thought that was never coming back.
The thing
It's
that
only
they
gone
got
for
rid
a
of,
couple years.
Yeah, got rid of it, said, never coming back.
Nope.
But wait,
Say we're
it's
gonna
definitely
do
coming back.
other sets in place of it, and they were like, nah. Turns out we need the core set.
I like the core set.
I do too.
I never really understood why the core set went away. I don't think that any reasoning that they gave really justified it.
Nah.
I-
I mean, the core is it's the core set. There's always been a core set.
And they always print some neat stuff in it, you know,
Right.
that maybe wouldn't fit in one of the sets on either side of it in the
I think
timeline.
getting rid of it really helped them realize that the core set was where they used to get good reprints that were useful for standard.
and
into
not in a
standard?
master's set.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But it's core
Yeah.
set 2019, and right off the bat, we are starting out with a swath of planeswalkers, starting with a Johnny, Adversary of Tyrants. This is a
the
4
hell of
mana
a name there.
Right, Adversary of Tyrants. This is actually it's funny because contrary to his name, his functionality is more about the little guy, you know? So 4 mana comes in with 4 loyalty, +1, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Okay, fine. It's not bad. -2, return target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Okay.
That reminds me of Rebel Arc? Yeah, Rebel Arc. And I actually really like Rebel Arc as a card. It would be fun to it's funny because I have a bad habit of coming up with ideas for decks based on only a couple cards and then saying, how can I just force this idea? but anyway.
That's the fun part.
Right. And then at -7, you gain an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, create 3 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink.
That's a very underwhelming ultimate.
Yeah. And he protects himself situationally.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have something to be able to get from your graveyard. And even then, you're minusing to do it. Because if you don't have any creatures when you play him, I guess you could still +1 because it's up to.
Let's just take a second and talk about something about the core set real quick.
Okay.
So this is a core set. I mean, it's a core set, but its story focuses around basically Bolas. Okay.
Right.
And all the planeswalkers we see here, including our brand new green one, has story implications to deal with Bolas. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, a Johnny, Adversary of Tyrants, I mean, they fought on
Right.
Alara.
Yeah.
So
That was a long time ago.
that was a very long time ago. But it's a Bolas themed set.
Yeah. As a new rendition of a Johnny, it's pretty underwhelming considering
Yeah.
that we've had in the past. I mean, first of all, as far as we have seen in recent years, our Johnnies have been green-white, which I was really enjoying. I thought it was really cool. But even the Johnnies that came prior to that, I mean, we even had I totally forgot about this one. We even had the green-red Johnny, you know? And
Green red.
or white-red, sorry. Yeah,
to say.
the white-red Johnny, who actually used to be
Johnny
really
Vengeance?
popular in Standard, I think. Either Standard or like Extended back then. I don't even remember.
Mhm.
It might have been before Modern. But I don't know, man. This Johnny doesn't really do much for me. But a planeswalker that does do it for me is Tezzeret, Artifice Master. And Tezzeret Artifice Master is 3 mana, comes in with 5 loyalty, and then at +1, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, so protects himself and like pushes his loyalty up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's already better than a Johnny, in my opinion. And then for 0, you can draw a card. If you control 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 cards instead.
Okay,
Like,
sounds good to me.
What? That's so good. And then at -9, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card and put it onto the battlefield. I mean,
It's those ultimates that make you chuckle while you're reading them that you know are really good.
And this doesn't even necessarily have to be in the artifact deck.
Yep.
This can just be in the Super Friends deck or in a control deck or whatever. I mean, I use this in an artifact-centric deck, but it could function. I mean, it could even just function in a blue deck, you know?
Yeah.
In a blue aggro deck. I don't know.
I mean, odds are blue decks are going to have some artifacts in them anyway.
Sure.
So,
especially in Commander with your mana rocks and things like that.
Even still, you just +1 on the turn he comes out, and then 0 the rest of the game, because you make a Thopter artifact creature.
Yeah,
So
and then
you're
every other
good.
turn, just draw 2 cards. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. I am perfectly okay.
Tell us about the
that.
next 2 planeswalkers, Brandon.
The next 2?
Yes, the next.
Yeah,
2.
we don't have Colin here to talk about Liliana.
Yep.
makes me
Hashtag Missy
sad.
Colin.
So 2 black for a 4 loyalty Liliana. +1, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. If at least one of them is a zombie card, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Does this fit into Sidisi?
No, because
That's all I
mostly because you're not gonna hit a zombie more often than not.
Okay.
As much as
But you're
Sidisi,
hitting a creature, but
yeah,
not often a zombie.
yeah. As much as Sidisi is a deck that could capitalize off of milling cards from the top, the way that Sidisi handles zombies, or the way that I play Sidisi to handle zombies, is not strictly from playing actual creatures. It's more of you're capitalizing off of ETB effects from other creatures, and then you have a lot of zombie lords and things like that. But most of your zombies are going to be coming from Sidisi's ability. So
her -2, target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of zombies you control. So we're going back to Liliana being 100% zombies. I'm okay with that.
yeah, that's totally cool.
And then -3, so the really cheap ultimate here. You could do this turn she comes out. You may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn.
I mean, that's pretty cool. It's not an emblem or anything, right? So
you might not want to do that the turn it comes out, because it's 4 mana to do that, and then you still have to cast the zombies.
That's right.
So a couple turns down the line, you get your black mana ramp going.
Yeah, as long as you can protect her.
Yeah.
And you're going to be milling yourself off the top, and if you're going to be pitching those zombies or whatever, that's more synergy, right? Because the zombies are going to your graveyard, you're draining your opponent, and it's opening up opportunities for you to cast those zombies that you just milled from your graveyard. And even on top of that, if you mill a zombie like freaking Gravecrawler, right?
Yeah.
One that you can already cast from your graveyard. Anyway. And then we have the alternate artwork here. Which
so, moving on.
Is whatever. But yeah.
Sarkhan Fireblood. Not Sarkhan the Fireblood, just Sarkhan, Fireblood.
3 mana.
3 red.
Planeswalker.
3 loyalty. Sarkhan. +1. You may discard a card if you do draw a card.
I would love it if it was just you may discard a card.
+1. You may discard a card.
What is this, Tybalt?
Okay. Sign me up. +1. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana to cast dragons.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that a lot, actually.
-7. Create 4/5 dragon creature tokens with flying. That's it. It's Sarkhan. He does Sarkhan things. I feel like we've said that a lot.
I actually don't think that his -7 needs to be the paramount thing that you're working towards.
Nope.
I think that being able to adjust your colors with his +1, or just to ramp out with his +1, is almost more useful.
Let's put it this way. So you're either drawing cards or you're ramping dragons up, right?
Right.
So he has no minus on here except for his ultimate. So no matter what, eventually you're going to be good, and you're just going to be like, hell, I'll just take 4 dragons, no, whatever.
Yeah, that's
right?
actually a good point. because in the dragon deck, you're probably going to be able to protect him pretty well because dragons are big threats anyway.
Yep.
So who knows? Maybe in the late game when you're just ticking him up and he has, even if you get him up to just 8 and the next turn you -7, make a bunch of dragons, all of a sudden now he protects himself even more. So who knows?
I mean, even just say you're playing Atarka and you're playing green-red dragons, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can still put a doubling season in there, and this gets even dumber because he enters with 6, and you can ultimate him the next turn. So, yeah.
I would almost
Doubling
think,
season makes
so you
things
said,
dumb.
You said Atarka, right?
Yeah.
So what is that really the optimal commander
I was
there?
just saying.
No. It just made me think about it. Because, for example, Nate plays 5-color dragons.
Right.
Okay. And I know that you have your dragon or whatever. If it even comes up that way. Yeah, the dragon. You have that. But
Talking about Atarka, World Render or whatever.
yeah. No, I agree
Not
with you
the
on that.
Dragon Lord.
I agree with you on that. But I would almost say that Jund dragons would be
I mean,
a really fun deck. I'm just trying to think because when I played
You
5-color
just play
dragons,
Karthus or something.
there's also one from the new commanders. How do you spell that? Karthus. Is it Khar?
I think it's Krthas. No, I'd be wrong. I have no idea.
Difficulties. It's Karr.
Why?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, it gives dragons haste, which is pretty good. But I don't know. I think that Jund dragons could be a pretty fun deck. I don't know why this Sarkhan in particular makes me think of that. Just because maybe that 5-color dragons is really busy.
Yeah.
It's a really busy deck. You're like making sure your mana is all correct and everything like that. I mean, even though you have the other Sarkhan that's in Temur colors.
Mm-hmm. Sarkhan Unbroken.
Yeah, which is also a really awesome one. So, maybe Temur dragons, but then again, blue doesn't have like that many crazy things that you could do. Ultimately, 5-color dragons is probably where you want to be if you're trying to do stuff. But
still,
I was just thinking
in the dragon deck, he is a very good card.
I was just thinking about Jund dragons for some reason. I don't know.
Jund him out.
But now I'm thinking about Vivian Reed.
Ooh, Vivian Reed.
So Vivian Reed, before I even go over the card, caused a little bit of a stir.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't like Vivian Reed.
No? Why?
Because the complaints that I was seeing were saying, well, who's this Vivian Reed anyway? She's just going to come out of nowhere and expect to be the new Green Planeswalker, blah, blah. I'm just like...
Sure, everybody said that about Nissa, too.
Well, it's just, like, you've got to have something to complain about, right? Like,
right?
Is that what this is about? Like, I don't know. I think it's all silly. When we get new Planeswalkers, I never think, who does this Planeswalker think they are?
When we get a new, like, mono-red Planeswalker, it's like, well, why couldn't that have been Koth,
I suppose. And perhaps it comes from people just getting attached to other Planeswalkers. So
right.
It was
Garrick
before Liliana. Garrick before Nissa or whatever, and now
Vivian's
is taking the place, or Vivian's taking the place of Nissa or whatever. I think.
Well, just remember, this is a set that has to do with story implications to Bolas. So
yeah. So
and she does have story relating to that. I mean, Bolas destroyed her plane. Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's just so extra. People just want to hate on something,
right?
But whatever.
Anyway, talk about the card.
At 5 mana, coming in with 5 loyalty, we have +1. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I like this +1 a lot. Gives you that card selection from the top of your deck. In the same way that a couple of the Ajani's did as well, who we actually just had up before. So, for example, Ajani Unyielding, reveal the top 3 cards of your library, put all non-land permanents revealed this way in your hand, so functionally a little bit different. but this one gives you the top 4 cards. You're not restricted to green-white. With her, you could play her in a green-red deck or, whatever you like. But I like these kinds of abilities on +1s that give you a little bit of card advantage, especially in green, right?
Yep.
-3, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. I think the or creature with flying thing is almost the most potent one here.
I think that's the most flavorful home run for this right here.
Yeah. Because in green, you already have access to a lot of really awesome artifact and enchantment destruction. And given you also have access to some destruction and spot removal for creatures with flying, but what are the odds that you're actually going to run those cards specifically?
Right.
So this gives you
the fact that classically in Magic, the archers have been the ones to hit the things with flying, right?
Yeah.
And she's an archer.
Yeah. So that -3 gives you Naturalize and tax on whatever card it is that destroys a creature with flying. I want to say Plummet, but that's not it. Plummet just takes away flying, doesn't it?
No, it kills a creature with flying.
Does it?
It does. I had it played on me like earlier today in Arena.
Oh, I stand. Brandon is totally right. Yeah. So this is Plummet plus Naturalize, and that's totally fine with me. And at -8, you get an emblem with creatures you control get +2/+2. Have Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible.
That sounds good to me.
Sounds green to me.
Yeah. Oh man.
It reminds me of. Yeah, that's what it was. Reminds me of old Domri Raid. -7, you get an emblem with creatures you control have Double Strike, Trample, Hexproof, and Haste, or even freaking Elspeth Knight Errant, which it gives me the art that's going to go out of the borders of this or whatever. So what the frick ever. You get an emblem with artifacts, creatures, and enchantments, and lands you control have Indestructible. Perhaps not as much the same as Domri Raid, but I like those emblems that just stick around and make all your creatures just pretty crazy, I like this Planeswalker. I don't think I have this Planeswalker in a deck yet, but I want it to be in a deck because it's just it's very utility. You have green Planeswalkers actually kind of have a knack for getting you card advantage in some way. So we remember we had Garrick Primal Hunter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Garrick Primal Hunter, which let you draw a card equal to the greatest power among creatures you control, which is pretty sweet. I like having more cards that give card advantage in green. Because green alone, its only real way to give card advantage is usually through cards like Life's Legacy, for example, which require you to sacrifice a creature or something like that. So you're kind of having to give something back in order to have a benefit. But with these Planeswalkers, there's no real drawback, right? You're just getting that card advantage without having to offer anything in return. You get me?
I get you.
But does Resplendent Angel get you?
Not really. 1 white, 3/3 Angel of Flying. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. Okay. 3 white. So 6. Until the end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink.
That's a lot of money for that.
Yeah. I mean, you're only paying 3 for this.
This card was expensive when this set came out.
Was it?
Yeah. I thought it was a lot better than it was. I remember reading this card the first time and saying, man, this is good. Because, I mean, the thing of it is, okay, so here's what it is, and this is just kind of a couple things I put together right now. We talked about the Angel deck, right? When we did our review of Dominaria with Lyra. This card is is a prime candidate to go into the Angel deck because it's an Angel that doesn't cost 6 or,
Yeah, it makes more angels.
Yeah. But, and who knows, maybe later on in the game you can just pump that mana into Resplendent Angel and give it that lifelink and things like that. But in the mono white deck, you're going to have plenty of other things to give you lifelink anyway. So ultimately, this gets you... this is a 3 mana 3/3 that is meant to generate a bunch of angels.
And it passes the vanilla test. It's a 3 mana 3/3 with flying. It's on par with where it needs to be. Yep. So you're happy playing this card on turn 3, let me tell you that much.
Yeah.
So
We had reprints of Omniscience and Scapeshift, a card that is going to make a debut in the Bolus deck eventually. Is Apex of Power. How about Apex of Power, man?
Apex of Power is a 10 mana sorcery.
It's a lot of mana.
That's a lot of mana. Exile the top 7 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-land cards exiled this way. Okay.
All right.
If the spell was cast from your hand, add 10 mana of any one color to your mana pool. It doesn't say to your mana pool anymore, but I can't not tack that on.
I know what you mean.
You know,
but
it's just so green.
This card is awesome. I think it's okay. It's a Timmy card for sure, right? It's not a competitive card, but in Commander, if you cast this, you're gonna have a fun time. You're gonna rip this card off the top, or put your land down that'll give you access to that 10 mana or whatever, and you're gonna chuckle to your board and say, okay, Apex of Power. Let's see what happens.
So what you do is you have Zakama in hand, right?
Oh boy.
You cast this, and then you cast Zakama.
That just opens up so many options for you.
Right?
Especially if you have because no, it wouldn't really work. Well, okay, so tap 10 Apex of Power. You cast from your hand, so you add those 10 mana of any color.
Right.
You use 9 of it or whatever to cast Zakama. Here, let me pull up Zakama real quick. So and then you play the Zakama and untap all the lands you control. And so the thing that I was thinking as just to kind of push this over the top is if you had something like Mirari's Wake or Mana Reflection.
Oh.
So you would cast Apex of Power adding, 20 or something like that. You tap Apex of Power, have 10 left over, add the extra 10 from Apex of Power. So you have 20 floating, use 9 of it to cast Zakama, untap your lands, tap all your lands to add
We're going high
20 to add 20 more mana. Right, and then just go ham with whatever it was that you ripped off the top.
I mean, if you're really this deep into Magical Christmas Land, I mean, you got to have Mirari's Wake and all the things that double your mana, and Cage Sun, and
Gauntlet of Power.
I mean, that sounds like a ton of fun, but yeah, that's about it.
You know what doesn't sound like a ton of fun? The Buy a Box promo, Nexus of Fate. How about this card, Brandon?
You take extra turns. Okay, can we move on now?
So this card was kind of the thing that justified everyone's fears that a card was going to come out that was going to all of a sudden make the Buy a Box reward thing just silly. Because this card, again, as the Buy a Box promos go now, this card doesn't come in Core Set 2019. You get this card from your LGS by purchasing a box. If your LGS hasn't sold them all already, which there's been record of that happening.
Or hoarding them for themselves so they can later sell them at a marked up price.
So this is half WotC's fault and half shady LGS's fault.
So right now, Nexus of Fate sells for $10.
Okay, well, that's not too bad.
Which isn't crazy, but
it was like 30 for a while, wasn't it?
Well, that's why you wait.
Oh, yeah, sure. So perhaps maybe this isn't the ultimate example of a way that one of these Buy a Box promo just goes through the roof for one reason or another.
Well, Firesong and Sunspeaker are only $250 right now.
In my opinion, the proof is in the pudding with the fact of how we actually had to have these conversations when this card was spoiled as the Buy a Box promo and what LGSs were doing for sure.
Well, I mean, this made it into a tournament deck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
and that's what they were trying to avoid. And obviously it happened. You don't print a blue take an extra turn card and expect it not to make it into some kind of competitive deck. That just does not happen.
Yeah, so just be careful, WotC. You're treading on dangerous ground.
Yep, I mean, even making it 7 mana and putting all those restrictions on it, I mean, there's still ways to break things in Magic.
Yeah.
I mean,
And let me just say, my Omnipotence is fraying. At 5 mana, fraying Omnipotence, each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control. Round up each time. This card is silly and awesome, and I love it.
how about Dismissive Pyromancer?
Is this card good?
I don't know. Is it? One in red for a 2/2 human wizard. Red, tap, discard a card, draw a card. Okay. 2 in a red, tap, sacrifice Dismissive Pyromancer. It deals 4 damage to target creature. It's pretty bad.
Not even target player, man.
No, it's pretty bad.
Thorn Lieutenant, though, is 2 mana for a 2 mana for a 2/3 elf warrior. Whenever Thorn Lieutenant becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, create a 1/1 green elf creature token, and then for 6, it gets +4/+4 till the end of the turn. This is kind of the anti-red, anti-blue, anti-black elf. I mean, it's not an elf lord or anything, but it's unfortunate that it's when an opponent's control, you know? If you could target it with something as well, if it were just when it becomes the target of a spell or ability, that'd be a lot cooler.
How about you talk to us about Lena, Selfless Champion?
I'll do that. At 6 mana for a 3/3 human knight, as we all know, the knight creature type is one that I'm quite into. It's a 3/3, and then when Lena's Selfless Champion enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier token for each non-token creature you control. And then sacrificing Lena, creatures you control with the power less than Lena's power gain indestructible to the end of the turn. So it has token synergy, and in the white weenie deck or the white-red Knights deck or just the white-red aggro deck and things like that, you're going to be powering out those small creatures just incrementally throughout the first few turns of the game. And just, watch your combat steps. Don't attack into things. Don't, start fights that you can't win. Then, boom, pop down Lena. Good.
If she's your commander, you can abuse her from the command zone.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that. And then,
you got to be paying more mana every time, but...
Yeah. But then sacrificing her, creatures with the power less than hers gain indestructible. I mean, you're playing white, you have equipment, you have auras and things like that. If you play her right, it could essentially be sacrifice her just to make creatures you control indestructible till the end of turn.
Mm-hmm. Which could easily win you a combat. Like that can, instead of using that as a defensive, you can use it in the offensive.
Yeah. What about Demanding Dragon?
Demanding Dragon. 3 red for a 5/5 flying dragon. When Demanding Dragon enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target opponent unless that player sacrifices a creature.
Reminds me... I don't know. It reminds me of those cards like Book Burning. Unless a player has Book Burning, deal 6 damage to them, they mill top 6. It kind of gives you...
well, obviously I'm going to mill the top 6 and instead of taking 6 damage.
Yeah, definitely. It just giving your opponent an option, and either option for them isn't.
At least it lets you choose a target opponent.
Yeah,
and not just any opponent can sacrifice a measly 1/1.
It should have been each opponent.
That would make it very good. Runic Armasaur.
I like Runic Armasaur, but I haven't really found a spot for it in a deck yet, aside from perhaps the Dinosaur deck. For 3 mana, you have a 2/5. I like 2/5s for 3. It's pretty stout for a 3 mana creature. And it's a dinosaur. And then whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So for your opponents, I don't know. Let's just say Merfolk Looter as an example. Just a card that kind of filters through your deck a little bit. Your opponent has to, think about it for a hot second before they activate it, because they have to think about if they want you to draw a card or not. I don't know. But I'm sure that there's many other abilities. This is just kind of the one example that popped into my head where this would work.
Mm-hmm.
But still pretty neat. Leonin War Leader is a cat, first and foremost. I'm always looking for cards to make the cat deck better. 4 mana for a 4/4 cat soldier, and when it attacks, you create 2 white cat creature tokens with a lifelink that are tapped and attacking.
Sure. I'll take it.
It's kind of like Brimaz,
Yeah.
you know, getting those creatures out when he's attacking and things like that. Brimaz does it when he blocks as well, but you know, just that cat synergy.
No, I like it.
And
It's just
even
a
just
good
token
cat card.
synergy, really.
Mhm.
Because it's a 4/4, right? It's not like it's necessarily going to get killed off right away as soon as you attack with it. If it were a tutor or something, that would be a lot more likely, but they gave it a good power and toughness to make your opponent at least think a little bit about whether or not they want to block it.
Oh man.
Liliana's
I'm talking about
contract.
Goreclaw.
Oh, okay, sure. Let's talk. Go ahead and talk about Goreclaw.
Goreclaw. Terror of Calcisma. It's a bear. It's not a
It is.
2/2, it's a 4/3.
It's a legendary bear.
4 mana? Yeah. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast? Okay. Whenever Goreclaw enters or attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. It's not the bear lord we asked for, but it's the bear we need.
I think that the trample is more impactful than the +1/+1.
Yeah.
And I think that the cost reduction is more impactful than both of those.
Oh, yeah.
On a 4 mana creature,
Well, let me just put it like this. Okay, I've got him out, right? And then I can cast Surrak for just the colored mana.
is this card in your Surrak deck?
Not yet.
Does it need to be in your Surrak deck?
It doesn't need to be, but it can be.
What do you mean it doesn't need to be? This needs to be in that deck, Brandon.
I mean, it does. I don't have one yet. I don't think so.
How about Liliana's contract, though?
Liliana's contract, 3 black for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. Okay?
All right.
At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game.
Dude, I'm so into it.
I mean, alternate win cons. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as alternate win cons go, but even, honestly, for me, just as a 5 mana draw 4 in black, it's fine with me. But yeah, I know that a lot of play groups, or some play groups at least, would probably frown upon those types of alternate win conditions because realistically, this probably isn't that difficult to do.
Nope.
Just, I don't know. I don't have a mono black deck right now, but I've been setting aside cards every now and then for the mono black deck, and this is one card that I'm like, I don't know, because this is probably really easy to win with. I don't know. It's neat.
It's not a bad card.
Yeah. Valiant Knight is a knight, first and foremost, who is valiant. It's funny to look at the person, the main rider of the lion.
Yeah.
Looks a lot like Elspeth, or is dressed the same as Elspeth. So at 4 mana for a 3/4, other knights you control get +1/+1. I love those lord effects. And then for 5 mana, knights you control gain double strike till end of turn. Just holy crap!
Sure.
Okay, this is an awesome. I mean, what's the other?
So you're
knight lord
playing
that
this
we
on
have?
4, and then on 5, you're just, I mean, its mana cost and then its ability cost line up so well.
Yeah, play Valiant Knight turn 3, do the other thing turn 4, just start to win the game. What the heck, Knight Exemplar? That's what it was. So another example of a Knight Lord effect that we have is Knight Exemplar, which gives your knights indestructible anyway. It just passively gives knights indestructible.
Yeah.
But again, like I've said, I love seeing support for knights because we've been seeing support for soldiers for so long, and we get a little thing here and a little thing there for knights. So I get really stoked. But which actually brings me up on, I'm going a little bit of a freaking tangent here. That sometimes it gets really frustrating when you're trying to look for good knights and stuff because a lot of things that you think should be knights are actually soldiers, and things that would go good in the knight deck are actually soldiers. So a lot of times when I've seen deck lists or anything like that, it comes to knight/soldier deck, and I'm like, no, take it apart. Knights or soldiers, not both. It doesn't work that way, in my opinion.
It's just there's been so much soldier support throughout the years. It's
Yeah.
just, we haven't got enough knight support yet.
Real quick, Supreme Phantom, 2 mana, 1/3 with flying, gives other spirits +1/+1. I think I like spirits for kind of one of the same reason why I like knights is because we don't see support for them that often. So when we do, I say, I'll take it.
Just like Goblin Trashmaster.
Tell me about it. Tell me about
Two.
this trash master of a card.
2 red for a 3/3 Goblin Warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Sacrifice a goblin, destroy an artifact.
This is good.
This is very good.
This card's very good. And it's so self-explanatory. There's not much to say about it. I mean, you're going to be swarming goblins in the goblin deck, whether it be red or red-black, and then sacrificing a goblin, which is probably going to be a goblin token more often than not.
Yeah.
Destroy an artifact. Destroy your opponent's soul ring. Destroy your opponent's gauntlet of might. Destroy your opponent's destroy your opponent's door to nothingness. I don't know.
Destroy the world.
That's right. Destroy your opponent's
With
world slayer.
your Cleansing Nova. 3 white for a sorcery. Choose one. Destroy all creatures, or destroy all artifacts and enchantments.
I like this as a board wipe a lot. It reminds me a little bit of Austere Command. Austere Command is probably my favorite board wipe in the game. And so with Austere Command, right, it's modal. You get to choose 2. It gives you a few more options than Cleansing Nova. But Cleansing Nova costs 5 mana, and you get to kind of go one or the other. So Austere Command and Cleansing Nova are 2 cards that are very similar, but work in very different situations, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because you could Austere Command and destroy all artifacts and enchantments, right? Which is exactly one of the modes that Cleansing Nova is. But what Austere Command provides you utility-wise for 1 additional mana is being able to choose if you're going to, do some creatures and just artifacts or just enchantments and some other creatures or whatever, whereas Cleansing Nova makes it a little bit more cut and dry, which is totally fine with me. I just love having that option to choose.
Yeah.
Sai, Master Thopterist, another card that I'm pretty excited about. 3 mana for
What's
a
a
1/4.
Thopterist?
Someone who ist. What's the suffix ist? So someone who understands, right? Or would that be that would be an ologist? A thopterologist would be someone who understands thopters. So thopters, maybe that means he creates thopters, which is what he does pretty much. But where's the prof at? He's an English professor. He could tell us.
Anyway.
At 3 mana for a 1/4, Human Artificer, whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Awesome. 2 mana, sacrifice 2 artifacts, draw a card. Also awesome. Another cut and dry card in the same way that Goblin Trashmaster is. It's pretty much an artifact-centric card. And that's pretty much it. It adds a good amount of utility, or more utility to the artifact deck, whether Sai himself is the commander of it. Mono blue artifacts is a thing, or whether he gets jammed in the 99, which is how I use him in my Joyra red blue artifacts. Open the Graves, Brandon.
Open the Graves. 3 black for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token.
I like this. I think it's
plain and simple.
So even in the zombie deck, right? It essentially makes it so whenever a non-token zombie dies, create a zombie. So a zombie dies, and then it
just replaces
still a
itself.
zombie. Yeah,
right.
Fun card. I wish Colin were here to say if he'd use it in his zombie deck. # Miss Colin. Elvish Clan Caller, though, is 2 green mana for an elf druid, 1/1. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Another elf lord. We had a goblin lord in the deck, so we had to have an elf lord.
Well, I didn't realize we had a lord of every color, because we have Death Baron, Supreme Phantom, Goblin, Valiant Knight, Elvish Clan Caller. So yeah,
very good. But other elves you control get +1/+1, so another elf lord effect, and then for 6 mana and tapping, search your library for a card named Elvish Clan Caller and put it onto the battlefield. So for commander, if you want to put it in the 99 just as a lord effect, you're not really going to be able to capitalize off of that second ability, but the more lord effects you can have in the elf deck, that's going to be just putting crazy elves out. In a competitive commander deck for elves, this might not be that great because you're looking to win already by turn 2 when you could play this card anyway, just because of how that deck tends to go off. We have a cleric in Remorseful Cleric. 2 for a 2/1 with flying. Sacrifice Remorseful Cleric. Exile all cards from target player's graveyard.
Yeah. Hose the flashback deck.
I like to see cards that have that sort of commander utility on, and I know that it hoses dredge and whatnot if you're looking to, I don't know, dredge like wins on turn 0 anyway. So, but anyway, cards kind of like Bojuka Bog that gives that graveyard control. Tormod's Crypt same way. It's a spirit and a cleric, 2 creature types that I'm fond of. So this card's pretty sweet.
One with a machine.
Are you one with the machine, Brandon?
I am one with a machine. I am machine. I'm so machine. I'm 3 and a blue for a sorcery, so I can only cast myself at sorcery speed. Okay. Draw cards equal to the highest converted mana cost among artifacts you control.
There's some expensive artifacts out there.
You play your Darksteel Colossus, right? Or even just your Blightsteel Colossus. If you're going that far. Draw 10 cards?
Yeah, it becomes 11 cards, actually. It becomes 4 mana, draw 11.
That sounds good to me.
It's good in my book, man. Reprint of Death Baron. Aha. Gigantosaurus.
Gigantosaurus.
Being green. For a 10/10 dinosaur. And that's
if
it.
You weren't counting. Sounds good to me.
I love how
man.
Gigantosaurus, however you want to say it. It's a dinosaur, right? So up until Ixalan, dragons. Dragons are the big brutes. They're the big, scary monsters and things like that.
Right.
But this card says no. Now
this
the
card actually
dinosaurs are
says
here.
no so hard it's killing a dragon in its artwork.
That's what I'm saying. This is saying no. There's a new big monster in town. And
There's a new king in the forest if you want to go that far.
And its name is Gigantosaurus.
That name is obviously Palaka Worm.
How about Jonathan's Last Stand?
2 white for an enchantment. Whenever a creature or planeswalker you control dies, you may sacrifice a Johnny's Last Stand. If you do, create a 4/4 white avatar creature token with flying. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, if you control the planes, create a 4/4 avatar creature token with flying.
This card's weird.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. Is this card good? I don't think it is. Well, in Commander, I guess.
I don't think so.
Control dies. You may sacrifice, if you do, put a 4/4?
I mean, no, I don't think this is good in Commander at all. I don't even think this is good. So,
what about Demon of Catastrophes?
What about Demon of Catastrophes?
I mean, it's not terrible. 4 mana for a 6/6?
Yeah. Gets you 1 demon closer to winning the game with Liliana's Pact.
Sacrifice as a cost saga creature, which, if you're playing this card, you're going to be making sure that you just have a little 1/1.
Right.
And it's a 6/6 with flying and trample. Even in the mono black deck, right? You're at the beginning of the game, you're just playing kind of, well, for me at least.
Little derpy dudes.
Here's how I would play it. I would play card advantage cards like, I don't know, Fleshbag Marauder, like Phyrexian.
Well, I mean, let's be real here. You're going to sacrifice a Grave Crawler.
Oh yeah, that would be good as well. Dumb cards like Phyrexian Rager that give you a little bit of benefit when they come in play and just kind of hold the line for a turn. And then next turn you play Demon Catastrophes, sack the Phyrexian Rager, and boom, 6/6 with flying and trample. Good luck. I don't know. I don't think this card's that bad.
No, not in. I mean, I don't think it's that great in Commander, but
Yeah, I think we have to talk about Alpine Moon. First of all, I think it has probably some of the coolest art in the set.
Yeah.
But for 1 red mana, when it enters the battlefield, choose a non-basic land card name. Lands your opponent's control with the chosen name, lose all land types and abilities, and they gain tap, add 1 mana of any color. I mean, obviously this is better in a format where your opponents can play multiple non-basic lands of the same name.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lot of hype around this card when it came out. People were like, oh, it's the second coming of Blood Moon and stuff. And it's like, well, no.
Yeah.
No.
This is
So-
a little bit more fair.
So even if, okay, so maybe this card slides in against Tron. And I'm reaching really hard. This isn't Commander related at all, but
Nope.
you don't think so? You don't think it's good enough?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fair.
But Infernal Reckoning, though.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up, Brandon.
Black for an instant, exile target colorless creature. You gain life equal to its power. So
It's literally a demon wrecking an Eldrazi.
I mean, even still, you do this to a Blightsteel Colossus and gain 12 life or whatever.
Artifacts are colorless.
Most artifacts are colorless.
Yeah. Just really quick, Prodigious Growth. It's neat. It's fun.
I got wrecked out by this the other day in Arena.
A fun green enchantment that we've seen over the years. Epic Proportions is another example. Just these enchantments that cost a silly amount of mana.
Mm-hmm.
Epic Proportions having flash, costing the same thing, giving a little bit less power times, but having flash lets you use it as a combat trick. I don't know, fun little card.
Yeah, I know. Giant growth effects are fun.
Yeah, they are. Vivian's Invocation. You want to go over that?
Sure. 5 green for a sorcery. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. When a creature is put onto the battlefield this way, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. So get your Gigantosaurus out with this and just destroy something. It leaves it. That's what's happening in the artwork, right?
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Reminds me of Summoning Trap a little bit.
Yeah.
But now that I'm actually, I've seen the artwork of this card before. I like the artwork a lot. This needs an altar, turning Vivian into Hanzo, because this is definitely Vivian shooting her spectral arrow and the tiger coming out of it.
Yeah. But
That's
I mean, that's the whole thing about her bow. But I remember you can see it very, very faintly in the background if you look, because I just now seen it again. You can see Bolus's head and horns in the background between 2 of the trees right above Vivian.
So perhaps in the lore, this is when her plane was being destroyed or something.
Yep.
So, but still, this is definitely Hanzo. I need an altar of this, turning Vivian into Hanzo, and I need a Vivian turned into Hanzo. Thank you very much. Let me know.
Lathless. Dragon Queen.
Lathless. That's an interesting name.
So why don't you tell us about it? You
It's
played this
6
against me the other day.
Oh yeah, I did in Arena.
It lasted
Yeah, and
all
you
2
immediately killed it. So 6 mana for a 6/6 legendary dragon with flying. Whenever another non-token dragon enters the battlefield under your control, create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Already, it essentially turns every dragon that you play into a broodmate dragon.
Yeah.
Or, functionality wise. Fun little interaction there. And then for 1 in a red, dragons you control get +1/+0 and have flying until end of turn. Or, not flying. Sorry. Dragons you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. That second ability is kind of secondary. That first ability is really where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
Still a lot of fun. Nate uses this. We have another legendary creature here, Brandon, called Isareth the Awakener.
1 black for a human wizard. Goes into the wizard deck, obviously.
That's right.
3/3 Death Touch. Whenever Isareth the Awakener attacks, you may pay X. When you do, return target creature card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead.
So, it doesn't make it a zombie.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that would be what it did?
I like that better.
You really just like them coming back as not a zombie?
Coming back as they are, because she doesn't have to be played as a zombie lord. I mean,
yeah.
That's
fair.
Not everything that comes back has to be a zombie.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
It's reanimated.
Yeah. Patient Rebuilding. 5 mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Then you draw a card for each land card put into the graveyard this way. It's a weird
the
way
art.
to gain card advantage. No, yeah, the art is sweet. This is on Amonkhet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is when in the timeline would this have happened?
I think this is after he defeated the Gate Wash.
Oh, okay. But yeah, all right. So it's a weird card advantage card, and I guess you could just bin some good bombs that your opponent has. But I don't think you're really playing this card unless you're A, playing a theme deck, or did I just say B? Unless you're B, playing a theme deck, or F, playing some other strat that really capitalizes
Unless you're
off
F
of
paying
the middle.
respects.
That's right. I don't even know. And we're going into the uncommons now.
The art for Ages of Heavens is pretty sweet.
It is. That is some good artwork.
Reprint of Gutter Snipe with great new art.
Oh yeah, that is really good. I always thought the Gutter Snipes original art was kind of weird.
Yeah,
but this one
good.
really does it. Yeah.
And Johnny's welcome. Just doing some work the other day.
Yeah, Brandon friggin' got me with this card. Turn one, like every game, as you do, pretty much. But in a deck that creates... this is an arena, by the way.
Yeah.
In a deck that creates a bunch of tokens, you end up getting a pretty substantial amount of life off of this card.
With other effects that, happen when you gain life, it was really good.
Ooh, reprint of Reclamation Sage. Yeah. Always good.
Still prefer the promo art that we got for it.
Militia Bugler. 3 mana for a 2/3 human soldier with vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with the power of 2 or less from among them and put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom. Guess what, Brandon? That's tiny, the little guy creature deck that's gonna have Revel Arc and that new Ajani in it. This is the third piece that goes in it.
How about the flavor text on Volley Veteran on the same row?
Volley Veteran. Volleyball Veteran. What the heck is going on here? Go into the tab. Thank you. Fill the sky with stuff. Very good.
It's very goblin.
I don't know. Is that new artwork for Cancel? It's okay.
Is it?
Cancel's a garbage card anyway.
I don't even see cancel. No, it's Amonkhet art.
Oh, okay.
Colossal Dreadmaw got a reprint. Whoop whoop.
But you know what didn't get a reprint because this is its very first printing? Arcades, the Strategist. This is
I like Arcades so much.
This is our Bant Elder Dragon. We have a new version of all the Elder Dragons. So this is 4 mana for a 3/5 with Flying and Vigilance, and when a creature with Defender enters the battlefield under you control, draw a card. Oh my gosh, that's really good. And then each creature you control with Defender assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power and may attack as though it didn't have Defender. Is this card better than Doran?
Yes.
For the Toughness Matters deck.
Yes.
Man, this card is sweet.
You're getting basically Doran's effect, right?
Yeah.
But you're also getting card advantage off of it?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean,
and Arcades makes it so walls can attack as though they didn't have Defender.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were already playing things with the big butts in that deck anyway.
Sorry, Doran.
And it shares 2 colors. I mean, you're changing the black out for blue, which is immediately better, in my opinion.
Yep.
So.
How about Chromium the Mutable?
Chromium the Mutable. 4 and an Esper for Elder Dragon. It's a 7/7 with Flash. And it can't be countered, so nothing's getting around this. Flying, discard a card until end of turn. Chromium the Mutable becomes a human with base power and toughness 1/1, loses all abilities, and gains hexproof. Can't be blocked this turn.
The only way that I've heard people using this is Voltron.
Yeah.
And to that I say, stop
it.
This card reminds me of all the Dragonflight people from WoW being able to take a human form.
Oh yeah, no, it happened in the story.
Oh, Chromium did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
Why don't you tell us though about big old Nikki B?
Nikki B, not Cardi B. This is Nikki B. the Ravager. This is our Grixis Elder Dragon. So 4 for a 4/4 with flying. When Nicol Bolas the Ravager enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card already. All right.
I swear to God, you said Nickelback instead of Nicol Bolas first.
Nickelback Bolas. And then for 7 mana, you exile Nicol Bolas the Ravager, then return him to the battlefield, transformed under his owner's control. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast sorcery, so no instant speed shenanigans here. And then we have Nicol Bolas the Arisen. He comes back as a Planeswalker. His plus comes in with 7 loyalty, +2, draw 2 cards. Jesus.
Okay.
-3, deals 10 damage to target creature or Planeswalker. Jeez.
Okay.
-4, put target creature or Planeswalker card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Okay. -12, exile all but the bottom card of target player's library.
Okay.
Jeez.
That's a Bolas.
Don't let Bolas transform. Don't let it happen. If you get so much board control after you transform him,
You have to +3 him or +2 him 3 times to
Well,
get to that ultimate, though.
ultimate
But-
aside, even just as
Right.
even using his other 3 abilities, insane board control. And in the deck that you're going to be playing him in, you're already going to be trying to get control of the board anyway.
Right.
This card's sweet,
And he only costs 4 mana.
and that artwork is awesome. But how about Palladium Wars? Is Palladium Wars awesome?
I don't think so. 3
Alright,
and a
well-
Naya, or Naya, however anybody wants to say it. I
How's
say
anything
Naya.
said, really?
Elder Dragon, 6/6, flying, vigilance, trample. Palladium Moors, the Ruiner has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet.
Keep
So,
in
yeah.
mind that's not hasn't dealt damage this turn. It's just until he does damage, he has hexproof. If he hits you once, he loses
Or hits
hexproof
anything.
indefinitely.
I mean, you could even, so your opponents could get around that by. Well, no, they couldn't because it has hexproof until then. I'm going to say make it fight something, but no.
Yeah. I don't know. I still like the card just as a Naya beater. Flying
Yeah.
Vigilance Trample is good enough for me. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah, 6 mana, 6/6 with those keywords isn't bad.
And now we have Vivictus Asmati, which is, Vivictus Asmati the Dire. This is our Jund Elder Dragon, which is the weirdest one, I think. 6 mana for a 6/6 with flying. Whenever Vivictus Asmati the Dire attacks, for each player, choose target permanent that player controls. Those players sacrifice those permanents. Each player who sacrifices a permanent this way reveals the top card of their library, then puts it onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card. It's like
This hits yourself.
it's like a weird chaos warpy type effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're making your opponent sacrifice things. Choose target permanent that player control for each player. So yeah, you do choose yourself. Wait, attacks. Yeah, those players. Yeah, this is a weird chaos effect.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit different from chaos warp, but just having that random effect of getting something off the top of your library.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd really play him, but I feel like there's a deck that you could make that just has all those chaos effects. I feel like Colin would play a deck like this that just makes everyone do a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So uncommon multicolor cards. I think there's only a few in here that are really good.
I like
Poison
the
Tip Archer is fantastic.
Exactly. That's what I was going to pull up. I like the artwork on that card a lot, and it's a green-black elf.
And it made it into Gave.
Whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses. Oh yeah, that's worth it. What is that? That's like it's like Vengeful Dead, right? Yeah, Vengeful Dead for the zombie deck. Whenever Vengeful Dead or another zombie is put into your graveyard from play, each opponent loses 1 life.
I mean, it's got a great 2 power, 3 toughness.
I just like that art.
Mm-hmm.
That is some good art.
What about Satyr Enchanter, though?
Oh, I like Satyr Enchanter. It's one of
figured
those.
you would.
It's like one of those sleeper cards, They just kind of jammed it in the set, and they said, "Okay, here's this card. 3 mana for a 2/2. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card."
Mm-hmm.
Works for me.
Crucible of Worlds got a reprint.
Just real quick, really quick, want to touch my briefs on Draconic Disciple, just because
Okay.
it gives you a mana, and it's like dragon themed, dragon synergy. I don't know. I'm not saying it's like crazy good, but it's still fun theme wise for like the dragon stuff that we've been talking about throughout pretty much this whole set.
Okay, so since you had a chance to touch on that, I'm going to touch on heroic reinforcements. The fact that every other multicolor here is a creature except for that one. Come on, really? And it's god awful.
Wait, 4 mana, create 2. Do you think they should be white-red soldiers?
I think it should be a creature.
Oh, that heroic reinforcements should be like a 2/5 or
should
something.
be just a completely different card, and it should be a dude.
I mean, heroic reinforcements could be a creature, just a creature name itself, I think, and they could use the same art even.
Right.
If they were to maybe jam one more person in the background, it could be like a 4 mana,
1/1s.
maybe like a 4 mana 2/2 or something.
Yeah.
That brings
it's not even a combat trick because it's at sorcery speed.
Yeah, it
It's
is at sorcery
awful.
speed, right? How are you supposed to have heroic reinforcements on your own turn?
Right, because that's a combat trick name.
What's that one white card that makes a bunch of stuff if you have lower life than your opponent or whatever?
I was about to say raise the alarm, but that's not it.
No, it's not. Oh crap! What is the name of that card?
It's like raise the alarm.
Timely
though.
reinforcements.
Timely reinforcements.
Yeah, like, albeit timely reinforcements is also a sorcery. What the hell?
Doesn't it say if you're at lower life, you can cast this at instant speed or something?
No,
No.
it
Okay.
doesn't. What the hell? There's some. Now, not only do I have complaints about heroic reinforcements, but I also have complaints about timely reinforcements. What's timely about doing it on your turn after you're dead already?
Right.
Look, see that guy on the ground right there in the artwork for timely
That's
reinforcements? That's me. Like, oh, thanks. You're here now that I've already got my freaking ass kicked. Come on, man.
Oh, anyway.
Yeah. Magistrate Scepter got a reprint. That's kind of funny. Meteor Golem. Can we talk about Meteor Golem? I like Meteor Golem.
Yeah. I think this is what I killed your Lapras with the other day.
It very well may have been. Has amazing artwork. Kind of reminds me of the Iron Man, like falling from the sky pose there. 7 mana for a 3/3, which is fine, but you're targeting an online permanent when it comes into play. That is, I mean, we have cards like Spine of Ishsa, right? That destroy a permanent when it comes into play. But I think that that's something that artifacts, colorless specifically, need a lot more of. Different ways that are going to be a little bit more expensive than their counterparts in other colors that maybe could be argued specialized now. Like, so for black, right, you have Doomblade, you have Murder, you have all those other cards that just destroy a target creature or whatever. This is target non-land permanent, so it's a little bit different than that, but I think you get the idea of what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Those things that cost a little bit more but can be put into any deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Suspicious Bookcase real quick?
I was just looking at that.
So, 2 for a 0/4 wall. Got Defender. Classically, all walls have Defenders. 3, tap. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Great.
Yeah, I don't particularly like effects like this, but I like it. This feels like something that would be on Innistrad.
I mean, it could.
Just art-wise,
That's what
art-wise even, you know.
Mm-hmm. But I like it. I mean, it's no Rogue's Passage, but I like it.
The last card that we're going to go over for this set that I'm going to go over is Detection Tower. A rare non-basic land, adds 1 colorless, and then for 1 untapping it until the end of turn, your opponents and creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the target of spells or abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof. It's a lot like...
Plan to do it. You can do it every turn.
It's like kind of like Glaring Spotlight a little, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, I like seeing those types of utility effects on lands is always cool because that just opens up your utility options for your commander decks when you're looking for utility lands, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. That's core 19, you know?
I mean, we had the Planeswalker decks, but there wasn't anything like crazy fantastic in them.
But listen, here's the thing. As a contrast to our Battle Bond review, I went through. I like Battle Bond well enough. There were some cool cards in it, but going through this core set, the set that got removed from the roster and then put back into the roster, I had so much fun going through this set. Because it's not a bunch of hyper specific things, you know. A lot of the stuff in Battle Bond, you have to build a certain way. You have to build with certain cards. Like certain cards have to be used with certain other cards. But in this, you have a lot more general overview type of cards that can go into a lot of different decks, especially Commander. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Actually, real quick, because I want you to talk to me about Aggressive Mammoth.
Where's
in
that?
the Planeswalker decks. So scroll down a little
Oh, down. Aggressive Mammoth. Oh, yeah. No, this card's good. Oh, this was only in the Planeswalker decks?
bit. Yep.
Oh, man. 6 mana for an 8/8 with trample. Other creatures you control have trample. This card's awesome. I love this card. In the mono green deck, in the green red deck, in the green whatever stompy deck you're playing, this card's awesome. I don't know. That's all I have to say about it, really.
That's really all that was in the Planeswalker decks that was like worthwhile.
Yeah. We've stopped going over the Planeswalker decks, and I know that there's some things in them that might be good. You have the Planeswalker, you have the card that tutors for the Planeswalker, and the card that benefits from the Planeswalker being in play. Again, if this were anything other than a Lost Episodes thing, we might go over it. I mean, like, real quick, I can go over Rampaging Bronodon, which is one of the gift pack cards. Another new thing that's coming out or whatever. 7 mana for a 7/7. When it attacks, it gets +1/+1 for each land you control. That's not bad for a dinosaur. Looks pretty cool, too. I like the scale of it. But, I mean, like I said, very abridged version of all these things.
Yeah.
Just, core set 19. I'm glad that the core sets are back.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what we get next year. It'll be interesting because with sets coming out between now and then,
but
we'll have a whole full list of brand new Planeswalkers this time next year.
But
who knows
what's actually coming up next for listeners of Commanding Magic: The Lost Episodes 2 is going to be our Commander set review, the most recent Commander set review. Which every time I try to, I feel like I always get the name of the Commander set wrong. Commander 2018? Is that what this or what?
Yeah.
Yep. Commander 2018. That's going to be the next thing coming up, followed very closely by Guilds of Ravnica, and then guess what? Commanding Magic: The Lost Episodes 2 will be finished with, and we're going to be going into Commanding Magic Season 3, where we go over not only spoilers, but Magic the Gathering news. We're going to start debuting other shows like CM Showdown and our Deck Tech series, CM Tech. Some more Hedron archive is going to be coming your way. So stay tuned for that. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. But until then, it's going to be Travis and Brandon returning to the Command Zone. Let's get him.
I mean, I'm stealing my thunder.
Got him. Ooh, this hammer is like, I know what to do.
Excellently improved. Long overdue.
Got her.
Sir,
Can we go back for the Zagara?
you're killing
I can dunk right now. Dunkin' Donuts.